When my brother was arrested, my parents put their entire retirement savings toward his bail, but when I needed help with an urgent operation, my mother said, "If there is only one person in the family we can save, we will always choose our son. My father also said, "Handle your own expenses." I quietly replied, "From now on, you will have to find your own support." 2.2 months later, I withdrew my investment from their business, removed my home as collateral, and stopped every monthly payment. Now, in 45 messages and 68 voicemails, my father keeps saying only one thing: "We're going to end up on the street. Please pick up the phone." If there is only one person in the family we can save, we will always choose our son. My mother said those words in the hospital cafeteria. A surgery estimate was sitting in front of me. $38,000. I was holding the paperwork in my hands. Coffee cups sat in front of my parents, and my father was checking updates from my brother's bail hearing on his phone. I looked at my mother. "What did you just say?" She lowered her eyes, but she did not take the words back. "Claire, why can't you understand? Ryan is in jail. His whole life could be ruined. And the doctor said that if I don't have the operation within 2 weeks, I could suffer permanent nerve damage." My father placed his phone on the table. "You have insurance." "My insurance doesn't cover the entire surgery. I asked you for a loan. Not free money. A loan." My mother let out a tired breath. "Our retirement savings went toward Ryan's bail." "All of it." She said nothing. I turned toward my father. "You put your entire retirement toward his bail?" He shifted in his chair. Bail was set at $250,000. We had to pay 10% in cash and guarantee the rest with assets. Because he hit a man while driving drunk and then fled the scene. Allegedly, my father said. I stared at him in disbelief. His license plate is clearly visible on the security camera footage. The police arrested him at his own house. What part of that is alleged? My mother slapped her hand against the table. That's enough. He is your brother. And I'm your daughter. You're strong, Claire. You always manage to take care of yourself. I pushed the estimate toward them. I am not managing. My left leg goes numb every day. I can't sleep at night because of the pain. My father glanced at the paper. Handle your own expenses. I could have screamed. I could have cried. I could have reminded them that I had been covering nearly half the cost of their business for the past 7 years. Instead, I simply stood up. Fine. My mother looked startled. Fine. You said I should find my own support. My father said impatiently, don't be dramatic. I picked up my handbag. From now on, you will have to find your own support too. My father narrowed his eyes. What is that supposed to mean? You'll understand in 2 months. I walked out of the cafeteria. My name is Claire Bennett. I'm 38 years old and I live in Columbus, Ohio. I worked as a regional operations manager for a medical equipment distribution company. My salary was good. I received bonuses and I had health insurance. From the outside, my life looked secure. In reality, I had a damaged disc in my lower spine pressing against a nerve. At first, the pain stayed in my back. Then it traveled down my leg. After that, the numbness began. My family was still more worried about Ryan. Ryan was 4 years younger than me. At 34, he had 2 failed businesses, 1 divorce, 2 DUIs, and mom and dad waiting to rescue him every time he got into trouble. When I went to college, my father told me, take out loans. Your education is your investment. When Ryan dropped out of community college, Dad bought him a $42,000 truck so he could start a landscaping business. The business did not even last a year. When I bought my first condo, I worked overtime to pay the closing costs. When Ryan bought a house, Mom and Dad covered the down payment. And now that he had injured a man, they had put their retirement on the line for him. I left the hospital, bought coffee from a drive-thru, and parked in an empty lot. I had $61,400 in my savings account. The surgery, rehabilitation, unpaid leave, and living expenses could easily cost more than $50,000. I could pay for the operation. But most of my real money was tied up somewhere else. I had invested $90,000 in my parents' hardware store, Bennett Home & Supply. My grandfather had started the store and my father inherited it. In the early years, local contractors bought supplies there. Mom worked behind the counter. Dad negotiated with suppliers. Then several big chain stores opened nearby. Business started to decline. 7 years earlier, Dad had invited me to dinner. We need temporary help with cash flow, he said. How much? 50,000. My mother immediately added, it isn't a loan. It's an investment. One day the store will belong to you and Ryan. I invested $50,000. Then the roof started leaking. Then the refrigeration unit broke. Then one of the suppliers changed its credit terms. My total investment eventually reached $90,000. On top of that, my condo had been listed as limited collateral for the store's commercial line of credit. My father told me it would only be for 6 months. 6 months became 7 years. I also paid $2,800 every month. Officially, it covered bookkeeping, insurance, and loan payments. In reality, the store was surviving on my money. The next morning, I called my financial advisor, Mark. I want out of the family business. How quickly? 60 days. He went quiet. Claire, there is a withdrawal clause, but if the business can't prove sufficient cash flow, they may have to sell assets. Then they can sell them. Your parents' house is also tied to the guarantee. My condo is too. I want my name removed. That won't be easy. I don't need easy. I need legal. 2 days later, I was sitting in the office of an attorney named Dana Brooks. Dana studied the documents and separated one page from the rest. Is this your signature? I looked at the date. 3 years earlier. No. I didn't sign this. The form was submitted electronically. What does it say? She turned the laptop toward me. The guarantee tied to your condo was increased from $120,000 to $280,000. I read it again. That's impossible. Someone signed it using your name. Dad had copies of my tax records and samples of my signature. Dana asked, did he have access to your email? There was an old family email account. He may have known the password. We'll request the full audit trail from the lender. Then she pulled out another document. There is another issue. The store made 3 unusual transfers over the past 18 months. How much? $18,000, then $22,500, then $31,000. To whom? RB Outdoor Services, LLC. I sat up straighter. Ryan Bennett. Your brother's company? His landscaping business. The one that supposedly closed years ago. Dana looked at the records. According to the paperwork, it never closed. I called Dad from her office. He answered on the second ring. Claire, this isn't a good time. I'm with Ryan's attorney. Why did the store transfer $71,500 to Ryan's company? Silence. Why are you looking through the business records? Because I'm an investor. Answer me. Those were legitimate payments. For what? Maintenance. Snow removal. Deliveries. Ryan doesn't even own the equipment for those jobs. You don't know everything. And who updated the collateral guarantee in my name? I heard nothing but his breathing. Then the call disconnected. That same evening, Mom came to my apartment. As soon as I opened the door, she said, "You're going to give your father a heart attack." Who forged my signature? Don't call it forged. What should I call it? Your father updated the paperwork. He increased the guarantee on my condo to $280,000 without my permission. What were we supposed to do if the store closed? Ask me. You would have said no. Then you would have had your answer. Her voice softened. We were trying to save everything for you too. One day the business will be yours. Ryan already received $71,500. Her expression changed. That was a loan. It was listed in the books as a contractor expense. Was that money used for his bail? She looked away. Part of it was. You said the bail came from your retirement savings. Some of it did. How much? She remained silent. Mom, how much? About $9,000. I stared at her. The rest came from the store? That is family money too. No. It is business money. It is supposed to pay suppliers, payroll, and loans. It came from my investment. My mother snapped. Would you have been happy if Ryan had stayed in jail? And what if I had gone without surgery? We knew you had savings. I stopped. How did you know how much I had in savings? Your father may have seen it on one of your tax returns. Tax returns don't show current savings balances. She looked toward the hallway. Were the two of you looking at my accounts? No. The answer came too quickly. Which account? Claire, stop. She left without answering. The next day, Dana received the audit trail from the lender. The form had been submitted from the old family email address. The IP address traced back to my parents' house. But the real shock came afterward. Dana called me into her office. Your monthly payments were not going entirely toward operating expenses. Where were they going? She opened a spreadsheet. Every month, my $2,800 payment entered the store's account. 2 or 3 days later, either $1,000 or $1,500 was transferred into a personal savings account. Account holder, Linda Bennett. My mother. The total was more than $96,000. I stared at the screen. This has been happening for 7 years? Almost. How much is in the account now? $134,000. I laughed, but there was nothing funny about it. So their retirement isn't gone. No. They simply refused to lend me the money. Dana closed the folder. What do you want to do now? I looked at her. And everything. We prepared a formal withdrawal notice. A demand for repayment of my $90,000 investment. An immediate end to all monthly support. A legal challenge to the fraudulent guarantee. A request to release my condo from the collateral agreement. A forensic accounting of the store. And a civil claim over the transfers that had gone into Mom's account and Ryan's company. The notice arrived on a Friday afternoon. At 5:12 p.m., Dad left his first voicemail. Claire, call me right now. You don't understand what you're doing. At 5:19 another one came. A payment is going to bounce from the store account. At 5:43 Mom called. We spent our whole lives raising you and now you're answering us through lawyers? At 6:07 Ryan left a message. Seriously? Right now? Right before my hearing? I did not answer any of them. On Monday Dad showed up at my office. I met him in a conference room. He was holding the attorney's letter in one hand. What is this? A notice. I know it's a notice. Why are you demanding repayment? Because the agreement allows it. The store doesn't have $90,000. Sell assets. That will destroy the business. You gave Ryan $71,500. That was temporary. And the $96,000 in Mom's account? He stopped. That was retirement reimbursement. Under what agreement? I can't explain every detail to you. Because there is no agreement. He slapped the letter against the table. Ryan's situation was an emergency. So was my surgery. You had insurance. And he had jail. You wanted him to stay locked up? I wanted you to ask before using my money to save him. In a family you don't ask permission. I looked directly at him. You said in the cafeteria that if you could save only one person, you would choose Ryan. He said nothing. You made your choice. Now I'm making mine. Claire, if you stop the monthly payments, we won't be able to make payroll. Use Mom's savings account. That is our retirement money. It wasn't when I needed surgery. He leaned closer to the table. We're going to end up on the street. You have $134,000. His face hardened. You went through your mother's account? A forensic accountant traced my money. That account is private. My money went into a private account. He stared at me for several seconds. Then he said quietly, You've changed. No. I'm just answering you now. He left. Over the next 6 weeks the store fell apart quickly. A supplier canceled its credit arrangement. The lender froze the credit line during the fraud investigation. 2 employees filed complaints over unpaid hours. The court requested additional financial disclosure after questions arose about the source of Ryan's bail payment. Mom wrote in the family group chat. Claire has decided to take the roof from over her parents' heads. My aunt replied. Is this the same store that paid Ryan's bail? Mom left the group. A few days later Ryan called. This time I answered. Why did you tell the court where the bail money came from? I didn't. The records did. My bail could be revoked. Talk to your attorney. You're my sister. You didn't ask even once whether I had the operation. There was a long pause. Mom said you were exaggerating. I came home 10 days after surgery. I used a walker for 3 weeks. I didn't know. You didn't ask. I ended the call. The surgery had been successful. I paid for it from my savings, took medical leave and stayed with my friend Natalie for 2 weeks. She made soup for me. She drove me to my follow-up appointments. My parents sent only one message. Hope the procedure went well. Ryan's hearing is Tuesday. Keep him in your prayers. 3 days before the 2-month deadline, the store filed for bankruptcy. The inventory was auctioned. The truck was sold. The equipment was sold. The bank placed a claim against my parents' house. After the fraud settlement, my condo was released from the collateral agreement. I did not receive my entire $90,000 immediately. The auction and insurance claim returned $63,000. The remaining balance was recovered through court-ordered repayment from Mom's account. The money transferred to Ryan's company was also classified as a recoverable transaction. Mom and Dad had to sell their house. They did not end up on the street. They moved into the basement apartment in my mother's sister's home. But their voicemails sounded as if I had left them sleeping under a bridge. 18 calls came during the first week. 27 more came the next week. Eventually, the total reached 45 messages and 68 voicemails. The last voicemail was from Dad. His voice was much quieter than usual. Claire, we're going to end up on the street. Please pick up the phone. We were wrong, okay? We were wrong. But this punishment is too much. You can't leave us like this. I listened to the voicemail twice. Then I did not delete it. I saved it. Ryan accepted a plea deal. He received jail time, a suspended license and an order to pay restitution. The man he injured required several surgeries. Mom still says Ryan made only one mistake. I no longer visit her. Dad sent me 2 handwritten letters. The first one said, "We made you strong and you used that strength against us." The second contained only one question. "Are you really happy?" I never answered. My condo is now protected in my name alone. The numbness in my leg is almost completely gone. I still have a scar across my lower back, but the pain is gone. Sometimes at night I look at the voicemail count on my phone. 68. I could delete them. But I don't. They said that if there was only one person in the family they could save, they would always choose their son. They chose Ryan. I chose myself. And now, every time my father says, "Save us," I silence my phone and place it on the table. Exactly the way they left my surgery estimate sitting on theirs. If this story stayed with you until the very end, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support means more than you know and helps us continue sharing powerful stories like this one. Thank you so much for watching and don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments. We'll see you in the next story.